Hi, in this video, I'll be going over CloudAz Policy Orchestration and Policy Deployment, how to manage policies and policy objects with searching, filtering, and modifying status with draft, deactivate, delete, and organize them into folders. Policy deployment places objects into a state where policy can be sent to CloudAz Policy Controller, also known as Policy Decision Point, at the next heartbeat and enforced throughout the network. Auto deployment, the policy distributed to all relevant policy controllers in the system, and manual deployment, the policy is distributed to only the policy controllers that you specify. Manual deployment can also be referred as target deployment. In this demonstration, I'll be solving John's issue of separating the policies into different folders and modifying one of the policies, then deploy these policies on different PDP. Here are some key features in this video: creating folders and moving components, moving parent policies with their subpolicy, modifying and deploying components, searching and filtering component lists, deactivating and retiring policies, target versus auto deployment. On CloudAz Policy Studio, go to Policies. Here we have a folder called Policy Pack. In this policy pack, I have 6 different policy groups, and they're all currently at draft state, which means the policies have been added but have never been deployed. In this video, I'll be creating and moving the policy group 2, deny access to all user accessing ITAR material, to a folder called PII. Policy group 3, deny access to EAR material, to a folder called EAR. These 2 policy groups will be deployed to separate PDPs, which will not interfere with each other's decisions. Let's click on this home icon. Now click on Add New Folders. We'll add the PII folder and the EAR folder. Go back to our policy pack. Find the parent policy of use case 2, deny access to ITAR documents or material. Alternatively, or supplementally, CloudAz also supports using this tag option to organize policies. This policy is a parent policy to 2.1, 2.2, and 2.3. In this parent policy, we have not specified any subject component, so by default, this will be applied to all users. In our resource component, we have a component called ITAR classified data with the component type SAP policy model, and an action component run. Additionally, we also have an obligation enabled called SAP user message on deny evaluation. Let's go to one of the sub-policies. In this sub-policy, 2.1 allow US user and US employer. What this sub-policy will do is to allow users with the USA citizenship and USA employer attributes to access ITAR document. By clicking on this component, we can view the specific details of this component. Notice this cloud icon on the top of this overview. This indicates this component is currently in draft state. If we wanted to modify this component, instead of searching for it, we can click on this pencil icon for redirection. Go back to our policy pack, click on this magnifying glass for search, click on this ellipse for additional options, select Move, and move this policy to PII. Instead of moving all the policies in group 2, we can simply only move the parent policy, and CloudAz will automatically move its sub-policies. Let's go to PII and remove our filter. And we have successfully moved all policies of group 2 from policy pack to PII. Let's do the same thing for policy group 3. Let's deploy this policy to my targeted PDP. In my policy, go down to deployment targets. We have 2 options here, auto deployment versus manual deployment. When we use auto deployment, the policy is distributed to all relevant PDPs in the system. When we use manual deployment, the policy is only distributed to the PDPs that we specify. Let's click on Save and Deploy. We'll have 2 deployment options. We can choose to deploy immediately or select a date to have this policy effective. In my deployment contents, we are deploying the policy 3.0, deny access to EAR documents or materials. Because this policy uses the following components, for this policy to function, CloudAz will also deploy all the relevant subject, resource, and action components. Additionally, because we're deploying a parent policy, all of the sub-policies will also get deployed. Please note, when target deploying a parent policy, the default deployment method for its sub-policies are still auto-deployment. Let's confirm. We have successfully deployed this policy group. Let's go back to the folder. We can see all our policies have been deployed to the policy enforcer. Let's say we no longer want this allowed license user policy to be active. We can simply deactivate this policy, which will keep this policy, but it will not be enforced by the PDP it was deployed to. While this policy is inactive, let's update this policy. Please note, a policy update does not require you to deactivate this policy. Let's add a new subject component to this policy. While we're here, let's also change the deployment method from auto to target. Let's take a look at this new subject component we just added. Let's go back to our subject component list. Instead of memorizing which policy or policies use this component, we can simply check the policy usage of this component, and it will automatically display all policies which references this component. This feature applies to all components. By clicking on the policy, you will get a complete overview of this policy. Similarly, the components can also be organized by folders and tags. Click on Folder View. Let's move the C and Citizenship subject component to the Citizenship folder. Go back to our policies. I have individually redeployed the sub-policies to my desired PDP. Now, let's use this denied citizen of prohibited country as an example for auto deployment. Select Auto, click on Save and Deploy. Go back to our policy list. Because this is auto-deployed, there are no indications for deployment target. Let's say there's a change in our decisions. We no longer have any prohibited countries, making this policy obsolete. We can delete this policy. Please note, when you delete a policy, this policy is gone forever. If you think you might be reusing this policy in the future, it is recommended to use Deactivate. Finally, let's deploy our other policy group, Deny Access for ITAR documents or materials. Select our target GPC, and deploy. In a large team environment, the team which are responsible for one group of policies are not supposed to be able to view policies from another team. Fortunately, we can manage the access of the users with CloudAz Access Control policies. If you're interested in advanced policy governance, please subscribe to our NextLabs channel and stay tuned for more CloudAz videos.